Hey everybody, what's going on? Welcome back to Big Gauchos, the stock and investing show that's completely out of pocket to help put money in your pocket. Austin back again with the boys, you know.
What up, guys? It's Team Money. Pretty crazy day today. Let's see what we got in store.
Yeah, you can say that again. David here, and let's get started. So, first bit of news that we want to bring up. I know we've been talking about this quite a bit, just because it's a huge event that's taken place across the world. But the company Moderna has passed its vaccine through the first phase of its clinical trials, and they will be moving on to the second phase. And what I learned from the first phase that they had 6 participants receive a vaccine, and they had varying levels of the active ingredient of the vaccine, just to kind of get a basis for what they should be aiming for. Um, so after a couple of weeks, or I'm not sure exactly, I think it was probably a couple of weeks, they took blood samples from these participants, and they measured the antibody levels in their blood and compared it to individuals who actually had been infected with the coronavirus.
What they
And
find.
yeah, what they found was the people who received the vaccine had levels of antibodies that were similar or more than the people who actually received, who actually were infected with the virus.
Wow. So good
Okay.
news.
So it's similar or along the lines of the antibody testing we were hearing about last week.
Yeah. So it's really promising news. I know last Friday we were talking about the someone from the World Health Organization talking about there may never be a cure, but then this just came out just today, and it was actually, you know, really good news just in overall. But and for the company, it was also really good because it skyrocketed their stock.
Yeah, it definitely did, and I know they're in a race with other companies like Novavax. So I guess we'll see who gets to it first. It's kind of like the space race.
Yeah, and also I heard that Johnson and Johnson and Moderna, when coronavirus first hit, they were commissioned by the government to possibly produce vaccines. So this, I guess, kind of coming in full circle. This is Moderna's time to shine.
Yeah, really. So I guess we'll see who gets to it first. That'll be super interesting to see. But it skyrocketed the Dow 911 points today, and Moderna itself is up 19.96% in one day.
That's crazy.
So yeah, like Dave was explaining, I guess it's very promising. So we'll have to see if they can pull through.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we got a good shot at getting at least a vaccine for it by next year. So we'll see what we can do with it.
Hey, I still got my bet for 2 months.
Yeah,
2 months.
there you go.
And I mean, I don't know because phase two, what they're doing with phase two is they're ramping up the number of people they're going to be delivering the vaccine. They're going to be delivering it to 600 people this time. So that's quite a bit more than the first phase. And also, they're going to only be using 2 doses of the vaccine of active ingredient. So I think one of them
Yeah.
was 50 milligram, or not milligrams, micrograms, and then 100 micrograms, I believe, which is a
And
very,
then
very
they're
tiny amount.
oh, okay. So they would that be the same amount that they're mass producing, or is it just
Um,
introducing a smaller portion before it gets FDA approved, just to make sure everything's gooch in the caboose?
I
Mhm.
think that was what they were aiming for production going forwards, because what
Okay.
they noticed was with the higher doses of the active agent, the people who received the vaccine were reporting skin irritation, um, like rashes and such. So they just tried to lower that, just because with the lower doses, people were not reporting the symptoms.
Right. Yeah. There's a lot of stuff that they need to take into account, and especially the extra symptoms.
Yeah,
So
I always see
that's
those commercials. Will cure you of this disease, but and then at the very end of the commercial, it lists off all these possible symptoms and problems that could potentially happen if you take that medicine.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the list of side effects is longer than the
Exactly.
benefits, and it'll usually kill you according to the commercial.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, hopefully the Moderna figures it out, and I mean, it is promising news. So you never know. We'll see what happens. Hopefully,
we'll
fingers crossed.
we'll see what happens in the great vaccine race. And in the meantime, people are still buying used cars. Specifically, found a new company, Vroom, filed for their new IPO today with Nasdaq. Their new ticker is going to be VRM, and it's basically like Carvana, that type of thing. Uh, Except they buy and sell used cars, and they do it all online. So I don't know that it's really considered like a tech startup necessarily, but it's definitely innovative, and they seem to be making some good money.
So they don't have
Yeah.
like brick or mortar stores, so it's all through like online.
Yeah, I mean they have warehouses and stuff, but it's online.
Okay, that's not bad. I mean, the overhead isn't too bad, but I mean, just looking at their net losses for the first quarter and the loss for year to date, it's looking kind of shaky because they are running a negative. But
They are
how new is this company?
they're fairly new. I can look up an exact date.
They
I
were
know
founded in 2013, I believe.
Okay,
So, they are relatively new. They still have a ways to go until they reach profit, but they've been cutting down their losses recently, so that's promising news. And it's actually a really interesting concept because what they do is they'll buy the used car and then they'll send it to a warehouse. And if there's any redoing of the cars that needs to be done, they'll, of course, replace parts, clean it up inside so it looks really nice. So apparently, it's supposed to look like a brand new car essentially, and then they will deliver it to whoever buys it. So
wow,
they'll pick it up for free, and then I guess their warehouse for repairs is in Texas. So they'll pick it up, take it to Texas, and then deliver it out to whoever buys it, and that's all free. And I guess they do a 7-day back warranty, so you can drive it and you don't like the way it drives because obviously you want to drive a car before you spend 20,000-30,000 dollars on it.
yeah. I mean,
Yeah, I think that would definitely put used car dealerships out of business eventually once they start to catch on, because there's Vroom, Carvana, TrueCar, and CarMax does something kind of similar to that. Not completely online like these other companies, but with all this competition coming up, is definitely going to change the industry.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. My only concern is if people are, you know, buying a car and then doing the 7-day testing. If they don't like the way it feels and they return it, that's going to be, a huge loss for the company.
Right, it is, but as long as they have a big enough reach online, they should be able to resell it, is what I'm thinking their like angle is. But the only other thing they'd have to worry about is if someone has the car for 7 days and they total it.
that's true.
Then that's a big chunk of the profit eaten up.
I mean, the concept is nice because the resale business, like the resale market, is very big. A lot of people, including myself, like to buy used cars, so I don't take a hit when I buy the new car. So the concept is there.
Yeah, it's definitely there, and I know they're not profitable yet, and they're losing a ton of money, but it's like any startup normally is. I'm just concerned because there's nothing proprietary about a used car business. It is interesting the way that they do it though, but they do have some big competition. They got, I read, 158 million cash on hand. So they do have some liquid assets to cover these huge losses, but we'll see if they can become profitable. I think
Yeah,
I think people might definitely turn towards it during coronavirus if they need a car just because of the delivery to them. They don't have to go to a dealership and risk their health and all that.
Yeah, for sure, for sure.
Yeah, that's wild.
there's definitely potential depending on how many stocks they release and the price of that stock. It might be a buy.
Yeah,
We'll see.
I'm thinking so. I mean, it can't hurt to try. And then it says new people are traveling through the airport at record numbers, 205,000 a day. Do we know which airport this was at?
I think it's across the entire United States.
Oh, this is an average. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, yeah. So what I learned was TSA released the number of people going through the security checkpoints, and that was for last week. The weekly average or the daily average for that week, and apparently it was about 205,000 per day, which when we compare to last year, it was around 2.4 million. So
Right.
obviously, there's a huge drop, about 92 or 93% drop.
That is huge. That's huge. I was even driving through the airport to take like a detour, and there's only 5 cars I could even see in the arrival section. So, I think it might be slowly coming back, but still, I mean, they got a long way to go. And you even have big airlines like American coming out, and a lot of the experts are saying they're probably going to file for bankruptcy again. Their second time in a decade. So
Hope
it's,
not.
yeah, I really hope not, because I know we're invested in them.
And they're
But
the biggest airlines. Like,
yeah,
how could you go bankrupt if you're the biggest one? You
well,
should have
exactly,
the
because
most amount of money.
yeah, well, they also have the biggest fleet and the most employees, though,
That's true.
and the most
Well,
hubs. So,
government better start bailing out, sending that check.
yeah, please do, so Tyler and I don't lose all our money.
But what's actually kind of promising about this is the numbers of people going through security have increased for the fourth week in a row, actually. So we are kind of seeing travel come back slowly. Obviously, it still has a long ways to go. It still needs to increase, almost 10 and a half fold from what it's at now. But it's getting there slowly.
Right, it definitely is.
It's a process,
It's Yeah, it's going to be a really long road to recovery, especially people aren't going to be traveling unless they have to if the economy gets much worse and we start seeing a deeper recession.
Mhm.
True. I mean,
And then,
honestly, I'm just betting on that vaccine. If vaccine comes in, travel's gonna start picking up.
I am too. And then we won't have to rely on all these, external services and stuff, mainly Grubhub and Uber Eats, which, speaking of that, Grubhub rejected the offer and they're not going to become partners with Uber Eats, seemingly for now. Um, Dave said they're going to be bought out for 9.1 shares of Uber for 1 share of Grubhub, and that deal was rejected today.
Yeah. So if we remember from Friday, I said they were trying to, I think it was like $60 a share,
From Friday.
which was equivalent to about 1.9 Uber shares for one Grubhub share.
Yeah.
And yeah, Grubhub said that was too low of an offer, so they didn't want to go through with it. But there's still talks of a possible merger, so there's still a negotiation. And I think Uber has said that 1.925, I think, was their upper limit for what they would go for. 1.925 shares of Uber for 1 share of Grubhub, that is.
Oh, they were really close then. About a quarter
Yeah,
of a
so
share.
I mean, I don't know. We'll see. As of right now, it looks like it probably will not go through, but you never know.
I think Grubhub would be smart to sell out right now, honestly, because Uber's got some pretty big bucks lying around, multi-billion-dollar company and all that. So I think they should just cut their losses and take the 1.9 while the going's good. So,
Yeah, that's
I don't.
major money.
Yeah, it is. I don't think it's any time to be greedy about it, especially right now. And you don't know what the economy is going to be like in a couple of years. So that's just my opinion.
Yeah, especially right now, everyone's using these services because they don't want to go out and get food. So they
Right. But
are.
oh, go ahead.
That's what I was just saying. Like, people are using their service more, so their stock is worth more in a sense. So, and the offer isn't bad. It's amazing.
Right.
Yeah, we'll
Yeah,
see.
the offer's not bad at all, but it's just what happens if this vaccine goes well and then people start going out on their own again. I feel like the price of the stock on both of these services would go down. So
Exactly.
if Grubhub got some sense knocked into them,
Yeah, better hit the deal button.
yeah, you better do deal, not no deal. And the whole stock market's just banking on futures, which they're definitely flat today, because of all the massive gains that we had. Just because we soared over 900 points, and people are skeptical because they're waiting to see what our boy Big J Powell would say about how we're going to recover from this. But he seems to be saying that we have unlimited money. But I think people are finally starting to wake up and smell the roses and see that things might not work out like J Powell's saying, and I think that's why the futures are all flat today.
Yeah, I think it's also that Jay Powell and Steve Mnuchin are going to speak in front of Congress tomorrow, kind
Yeah,
of on the state of the economy. So people are just kind of waiting to see what is said.
That's
I'm
gonna be
surprised.
interesting.
It will be. I'm surprised we had such a big rally ahead of that today, because that's seemingly good news. So good news now means red day,
Red day.
but we had a very green day with good news.
Well, we're talking about a vaccine, so that's probably the biggest driver. And when the cause of all this downfall is the virus, then with talks of a vaccine coming along, that's basically the solution to the problem. So I see why it'd go up.
As long as J Powell's buying himself junk bonds forever, we don't have to worry.
Yeah. Honestly, J Powell's gonna go in and be like, all right, I think everybody should get a mini money machine so everybody can print money from their homes.
Yeah, we can all stay at home forever and everyone just prints their yearly salary.
Yeah, money
Just
machine go.
take you at your word for it. Yeah, just all night long. Then you
I
wake up in the
mean, I've
morning.
always wanted to see what living in Venezuela right now would feel like, so I'd be down for it, I guess.
We're close. California is now Caracas.
Oh my.
Caracas.
Yeah, we're not far away from that if we keep throwing more trillions in, but that's just my 2 cents.
Oh, I agree with you. We need to stop.
Well, we got some big stocks today making a little bit more than 2 cents in returns. Should we hit that intro music?
Let's get it.
Hit it. I know we touched on this a little bit earlier, but Novavax was up 30.55%. It kind of explains itself. They're another one of the big companies racing for a coronavirus cure, so we'll see what happens. And then secondly, we got Park Hotels and Resorts up 21.61%. I
Ooh,
find
that's
that,
pretty good.
yeah, that's a big return for a hotel industry in a pandemic when no one's staying at a hotel.
Maybe people are setting they're booking for the next couple months, getting their rooms done.
They must be, or they've remodeled during this pandemic and they've been productive and shareholders are seeing that. So it's all about the future anyway. I'm sure they'll make their return back in a couple months.
True.
Hmm. Yeah, people are just betting on the futures.
Yep. Sadly, not very much correlation to the economy on that one. And then we also got some interesting losers today. We got Wayfair, which is a furniture and home goods company. It's all totally online, popular among millennial and country mothers, down 11.13%. It makes sense, I guess. It's kind of like a luxury item, right? Like you don't need to buy furniture in a recession or pandemic.
And you can only have so much furniture in your house. So once you make a couple of orders, you can't continue to keep buying. So you're limited.
Yeah, that's right. That's a really limiting business to be in. But their stock's not doing too bad overall. They just had kind of a rough day because everyone's focused on the vaccine right now, I feel like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Slack is in the toilet for obvious reasons. Nobody's at work, so they're down 7.44%.
Yeah. My company uses Slack too. And we've been pretty heavily using it because of this virus and whatnot to communicate. But now that we're starting to go back into work and everyone else is going back into work, they don't really need to use Slack. So I could see where the drop is coming or starting to happen.
Yeah, I guess when you have a in-person company like you do, it's easy to not have to rely on technology. But I could see the bigger tech firms in Silicon Valley stuff like Google and stuff,
Mhm.
still using Slack.
Yeah, definitely. It's not
Yeah,
going to go away, but it's going to start going down a little bit more as more people start going out.
I would say so. That might be one to buy. We'll have to
Could be a
see.
sleeper.
Oh,
What about Zoom? Do you guys think Zoom is going down?
It will go
yeah.
down.
I've been seeing it's going down just as stuff starts to reopen. They're
Um,
going down slightly, but also they had all those security issues, and also Google has a service that's a direct competitor that's free, and it has all the same stuff as a premium Zoom.
Interesting. Yeah, I do remember getting Zoom bombed a couple times back in the school year.
I remember getting Zoom bombed on one of these podcasts on the second one we ever did.
Yeah,
That random iPhone user showed up right before we were expecting Kanal to come on.
that is true. And we're like, hey, here's nothing. And then
Yeah,
just,
nothing. Yeah, because we thought it was him. That was scary. So I hope they patch that soon. Their stock will start to go up.
yeah.
I know Dave's talking about sleepers, and I know we're doing this late at night. So let's get some sleep and check out the sleepers. TripAdvisor, number one. Obviously, travel's starting to pick up. Like Dave was saying, we got an average of 205,000 people going through the TSA lines in the US. So naturally, people are going to be going on more trips. It is summertime after all, and there's plenty of trips that you can do at a social distance. So
We got to plan our trip still.
I know we do, and that's why we're using TripAdvisor.
Yeah, Dave, make the call.
Yeah, I will. I will. Just, give me some time.
Yeah, call up TripAdvisor for us. And Alaska Air's up there for a similar reason. Their stock's actually going up today. They were up, I believe, around 8 to 10% today, which is pretty good gains. Most companies are average 2 to 5% return on the day. So it's good to know that travel's starting to come back a little bit, in my opinion.
Yeah, let's go buy airlines so that American go up a little bit too.
hmm Yeah, Alaska's a lot smaller, so less liability, more profit,
True.
but also no bailout because they're not big enough. So pros
Oof,
and cons.
that's a deal breaker.
No, it's a big deal breaker. And then finally, we got Stanley Black and Decker on here, big tool and hardware manufacturer, and they also do security equipment. I think that'll be good because once the economy starts ramping up, we're definitely going to have a surge in new building for homes, and also as industry starts to come back, people always need tools. It's just one of those little things.
Yeah.
I'm gonna build me a house.
You guys gonna buy any of these? I'm actually seriously considering Stanley Black and Decker.
I'll probably have to look into it a little bit more, but again, it could be potential. I'll put it on the wheel.
Yeah, because I know personally, myself and family members have various Stanley tools. I mean, they make things you don't even think about, like X-Acto knives that you already have, and like screwdrivers. And Black and Decker has saws, and I have a sander that they make. And it's just like the little things add up quick. So
Mm-hmm.
that's why I might ship some money into that.
I'll think about it. I'll do my own research just to make sure, but I don't think I'll get into more of the airline industry. I'm pretty exposed to that already, so it doesn't make a lot of logical sense to keep investing into one industry for me.
Yeah, I don't think that I will either after this disaster that Americans putting up. I feel like everything else isn't far to fall behind just because every airline's having the exact same problems as American, just on a little bit smaller scale.
Yeah.
I think it's just building up and building up.
It's gonna take a lot longer than we expected for it to
So
go back to normal.
can buy all the Black and Decker tools to fix the airplanes in the airline industry.
Yeah, I mean, it'll definitely go back to normal eventually, in terms of airlines, but I just think it's going to be a really slow recovery, and you might be better suited off investing in a different industry that might have its growth more rapid.
Right. And that's interesting to look at other things like tools and real estate and all that other stuff because it really shows how many companies are actually publicly traded. Like, you have no idea just besides the stuff that are on the news.
True.
There's a lot more out there. But there's not a lot out there of great podcasting platforms to use and easily create a show on of your very own, like Big Gauchos. Which brings us to our favorite sponsor for every video. You want to say it with me, boys?
Sir.
1, 2, 3, Anchor.
Anchor.
Anchor, love Anchor.
Hell yeah, hit that ad right now.
Yeah.
When will we ever be able to stop saying good things about Anchor? Probably never.
Never. We're ride or dies for them.
Dude, I'm a ride or die for sure. They're paying for us to invest in all these stocks. So as far as tomorrow goes, basically Canal's cheating this entire system. So I'm sure he's gonna win again. But what are you boys thinking?
I'm thinking probably a little bit of a dip. What do we close at? 24,600, 700?
Yeah.
I think
Pulling up my numbers again.
I have the numbers right here, so I'm thinking 24,500. Depending on how Jay Powell goes about this speech, but I think more or less it's going to be a dip because of how much it went up.
Yeah, I'm thinking along the same lines. Just because we had 900-point gains today,
Mm-hmm.
I'm thinking Jay Powell's he's gonna shit the bed on this tomorrow, and the speech is gonna go horribly, and he's gonna accidentally slip up and say that we're completely screwed. So, I mean that's a really catastrophic scenario, but for that reason,
You said
I'm gonna say
24,200.
24-2. Yeah, I'm gonna say 24-2 for that reason.
David, you?
I actually think it's going to be a green day tomorrow. I think the trend will continue. I think while it was pretty drastic of a growth today, I think it will continue to rise just on hopes of the incoming vaccination. And also, a lot of states are opening up or have opened up recently. So I think that's also going to play a role. And I'm going to say it's going to close around 25,000.
Not bad, not bad.
Okay, a nice even number. So you would have the biggest spread. So any major gains and you're in the green.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. But
Try to knock Canal off for tomorrow.
Yeah, honestly. See how it goes.
You might be right. We might get some decent news tomorrow, and or even bad news, and it'll go up. Really doesn't matter. It's gonna go up.
Too much money.
Sound like a broken record, but I think we should make sure we get a lot of good coverage of the speech tomorrow, just to see what happens.
yeah, I'm definitely going to tune in for sure tomorrow.
Oh, I can't wait. It's going to be a disaster. And on that note, I want to thank everyone for listening. We hope you enjoyed the show. Remember, leave us a video message on anchor.fm/gauchos or biggauchos.com. If you want to send in an investing tip, we might play it on the show. Tyler, hit it.
All right, guys, quick disclaimer that we are not licensed brokers and that everything said on this podcast / YouTube video is our opinions and our knowledge from our experiences. So we are not liable for any money loss, but we definitely hope that you guys make some money and invest safely, Big Gauchos. And don't forget to like and subscribe.
Yes, sir. That's a good night from Arizona. Boys, you got any closing thoughts?
Yeah, make sure to go over to our Instagram and follow Big Gauchos, and also go over to our YouTube channel as Big Gauchos as well, and give it a subscribe so you can see the live video recording.
Yeah, and also a bunch of new videos coming along the way. Tyler's stock wheel is going to be one of them, and our Beyond Meat video is being edited right now. So
Yeah, there we go. So we got a lot of new exciting content coming out. Also, if you guys are listening on Apple Podcasts, drop us a rating, give us a review, tell us how we're doing. Really helps out the show. And on that note, we're going to see what happens with the meltdown tomorrow, or the biggest gains we've ever seen in history.
let's see it.
All right. Night, guys.
Good night.